In the Genshin Impact 3.2 patch preview, we're given a sneak peek of what Nahida is going to be capable of. And to be honest, she's the most insane looking character in Genshin Impact by far. I mean, just look at her animation, look at her chair and stuff like that. Really insane animation. Definitely the best looking character in Genshin Impact. And it is clear that miHoYo has put a lot of animation budget into this character. However, as we learned from the past, just because a character have good animation doesn't mean they will be really strong as well. And I'm looking at you character like Candace or Dory who have really unique animation, but unfortunately just doesn't really reflect in their actual character kit or meta strength even. So in today's video, let's quickly go through what Nahida is gonna be capable of doing, aka in today's video, this is the Nahida pre-release analysis. And as always, if not subscribed already, don't forget to do so. Let's quickly take a look. Starting off, Nahida looked to be a Dendro Callus user, which is really good, as Callus users are capable of doing elemental infused auto attack by default, which means that generally speaking, they can have really good elemental application rate, assuming you're playing them on field. With Dendro as well as Dendro reaction or even Dendro team having a huge emphasis on how frequently you can apply element, Nahida being a Callus user is for sure gonna give a huge advantage, as it means she is able to ditch out really easy reaction by using her on field and then just do some normal attack, charge attack to apply Dendro, which is excellent. With Nahida being a Callus user who have easy to use Dendro application as well as really frequent Dendro application, we can easily see her being just really good in team that really won a lot of Dendro application already. For example, those are team like Bloom team, because your Dendro application is directly tied to your DPS. In this case, the more Dendro application you can do, the more seed you can trigger, and therefore the more damage you can do. So Nahida being a Callus user is already a huge upgrade over the existing Dendro characters like Travelers or Kali, whose Dendro application, while is decent, is still limited. But that's actually not all. Moving on to her elemental skills that was showcased, there is two ways you can use her elemental skills. You can simply tap it or you can hold it to enter aiming mode. Now, in actual endgame combat like Spiral Abyss, you probably won't really be using the aiming mode that much, since it unfortunately does take up a lot of time, which can cost you a lot of DPS. So for the most part, we're just going to be using the tap version instead. But her elemental skill is still really strong. Her elemental skill is capable of marking opponent, and whenever you trigger a reaction on those opponents, you will then be able to apply Dendros on top of the enemy, which is really important. This means that you essentially apply Dendro in a chain reaction format. Each time you do a elemental reaction on an enemy, you instantly reapply Dendro to them, and it's one of the first kind of chain reaction application that we have seen in Genshin Impact, where your reaction rate is directly tied to a different reaction. Now, there's a really significant impact with the element being able to apply this way, and it actually has to do with elemental gauge theory. You see, in Genshin Impact, when you trigger a reaction, you consume something called elemental gauge, which means that the amount of available element or resources on the enemy kind of go down. With the way Nahida elemental skill work and how it applied Dendro immediately after you trigger a elemental reaction, it means that if your elemental reaction involves Dendro, such as Bloom or Quicken, aka Catalyze, it can actually instantly replenish the amount of Dendro that was used up, and therefore make it significantly easier to sustain your Dendro onto the enemy. To put this into an example, like let's say Aggravate Kaching or Sino team, with Kaching you can apply Electro very frequently and therefore doing a lot of Aggravate. But each time you do an Aggravate on Kaching, not only you're applying Electro to the enemy, Nahida will also follow by applying Dendros, since you're triggering a elemental reaction, and therefore it triggered Nahida elemental skill. Essentially what happened is that every single time you trigger Aggravate on Kaching, not only you're applying Electros onto the enemy from Kaching herself, you will instantly replenish all the Dendro as well, because Nahida elemental skill is gonna follow up and do a Dendro, which make it significantly easier to keep your Aggravate uptime, and can potentially be very easy to have 100% uptime on your Quicken compared to other characters like Kali or Traveler, which is massive. This unique interaction with Nahida could actually even be game-changing for some of the existing team in Genshin Impact, like Malganyu. The thing here is that Malganyu unfortunately didn't really work with burning, because her charge attack applied 2 instances of cryo, one from the original shot and then one from the actual bloom, which unfortunately instantly extinguished the burning, and therefore your burning can no longer self-replenish pyro for Ganyu to kind of melt off it. But how how is this different from Nahida? You see, the thing that's unique about Nahida is that you immediately apply Dendro right after a reaction. I mean, in the same scenario where you start with a burning enemy and then you do a charge attack on Ganyu, what's gonna happen is that the first part of your Ganyu charge attack is gonna connect and trigger melts, taking away some amount of pyro and Dendro or whatever like that. But then Nahida elemental skill would instantly come in and apply Dendro to that enemy. Well, because the first charge attack on Ganyu doesn't take away all the pyro and then you're reapplying Dendro on top from Nahida immediately, it'll actually immediately replenish your burning aura and refreshes your pyro gauges. And therefore, when the second part of your Ganyu charge attack connect, there is still going to be pyro remaining on the enemy since it was refreshed and could actually self-sustain the burning that way. So Nahida can actually enable burning Mel Ganyu to finally work, and this is a really big news as Nahida is going to be a ranged character. So this means that we're going to be able to play something like completely fully ranged Mel Ganyu from a ranged power applicator and then using Nahida to apply Dendro from a range, and then you just do ranged charge attack from Ganyu, which is really exciting. But of course, on top of that, every other team that kind of utilize Dendro also kind of get better, like Bloom, Aggravate, as your Dendro uptime is just going to be so much higher as we previously explained. So overall, Nahida can already be seen as a huge improvement to the existing Dendro characters. However, Nahida doesn't just improve your overall Dendro application rate in a team. With her being a Callus user that you can put on field to have really good Dendro application, that means that you can once again bring some of the stronger off-field Hydro characters into your party like Xingqiu's or Yadalon. So that means that Nahida doesn't just upgrade your Dendro application, Nahida can potentially also just upgrade your team member because of how good she is and allowing you to just bring better member in. For example, one of the primary example we can bring here is Lilu, where Lilu is currently most commonly ran with Kokomi, Kali, and then Dendro Travelers, and some of these are not great teammates. For example, Kali and Dendro Traveler are just not the greatest. But with Nahida having such a insane Dendro application rate, what we can do is to bring Nahida as a on-field Dendro Callus users, and then Xingqiu's and Yalon as our off-field Hydros users. And then that will give us a lot of off-field Hydro application through the double Hydro combo setup, in addition to Nahida being on-field just proccing a lot of Bloom, which will dramatically increase the Lilo team strength as we just have significantly better teammate now. But if that wasn't enough, Nahida Elemental Burst actually come as a domain expansion, like an actual domain expansion. Nahida Elemental Burst is capable of creating a giant as Maiden Shrine, which, well, just let's say it looked really good in terms of its animation. Essentially, Nahida is just Dendro application on crack. And when it comes down to Dendro related teams such as Aggravate or Bloom, your Dendro application is really what counts for the most part. And so with Nahida having such an insane radius of elemental application, but also such an insane frequency of elemental application, I think she's just gonna be a really good Dendro applicator to be using in these teams, and it's just really good. But there's a little bit more. One of the biggest problem with the current existing Dendro characters like Dendro Travelers or Kali is that they just don't do a lot outside of applying Dendro, and they're not even that good at applying Dendro since their area is limited. You're playing Circle Impact and they have, well, a good amount of downtime. With Nahida fixing all of these problems just while applying Dendro to the entire room, so you're not limited to one area anymore, and having automatical Dendro application onto each enemy, well, her Dendro application is just significantly better than the other characters. But more importantly is that she actually do something else other than just applying Dendro. One of her passive is actually going to allow you to grant your teammate elemental mastery through her elemental burst, and that's really good as it does mean that she still have some kind of stat supporting capability, which further help your other teammate to do more damage. As again, when it comes down to all the Dendro team like Bloom or Aggravate, you really care about elemental mastery, and elemental mastery is often what drive these team damage forward. Or even coming down to that Mel Ganyu team that we were talking about, well, elemental mastery actually increase your melt damage as it is what's amplified the actual melt multiplier, so that's a really good over there. So what I think about Nahida, especially about her role value in today's video or pre-release analysis judging from the 3.2 live preview. Well, I think Nahida is going to be one of the best role in Genshin Impact, to be honest. Now hold on a second, because there's something I have to explain, and that is how role value differ from strength value. You see, when it comes down to a role value of a character, most of the time they're artificially deflated a little bit because a replacement already exists. For example, Yomi Yoimiya can be replaced by Hu Tao, which arguably is a better single target pyro carry. So therefore, Yoimiya role value kind of get overshadowed by Hu Tao a little bit. And the same kind of apply to majority of the other character in Genshin Impact, at least when they were first released. Yelan is a great Hydro sub DPS, but Xingqiu's is a fine replacement. Kazu is one of the best Anemo support in the game, but Cyrnos is also a usable Anemo support that is really amazing as well. In all of these cases, the character is not completely irreplaceable, and so therefore their role values kind of deflate a little bit due to the possible replacement existing. However, this is not the case for Nahida, as in the game currently we only have 3 other Dendro characters, namely Tagnari, Kali, and Dendro Traveler. And while you can use Dendro Traveler in team like Bloom, team like Aggravate, I think the gap between those characters and Nahida is gonna be so massive that honestly it is safe to say that Nahida is not nearly as replaceable as the other characters in this case, which make Nahida role value actually further get inflated because of the fact that there's no replacement in this case. Now, I guess if you're not super into Dendro team and you don't foresee yourself playing Dendro team in the future, you don't have to pick up Nahida. But honestly, I think every single player out there should try to pick up Nahida just in case you do decide to play a Dendro team, as I think Dendro team is gonna be a huge part of the Genshin Impact meta moving forward. And most importantly, I think Nahida is gonna be a replaceable Dendro member in every single Dendro related team. Because of all of that, I actually think I'm gonna give the very first 5 out of 5 value pool rating on this channel for Nahida, which means that she is gonna be a really insane pool for most players and definitely one of the best 5-star pool ever to exist in Genshin Impact. Now, I'll be very honest, I really don't want to say must pull, as always these kind of videos I try to do them as a way to prevent overhyping on characters, to make it so that people feels like they don't have to have a character, especially if they're low on primo. In that case, they have to consider if it is worth their money, which would be a very big question. And as always, you really shouldn't spend money that you can't afford on a video games, especially one like a gacha game like Genshin Impact. It could be like $100, $200 just for a single characters, which for some people is a lot of money. But at the same time, looking at her kit, I would be lying if I didn't think she was strong. I think she's definitely one of the stronger pool in Genshin Impact, and I didn't exactly know how to convey that without saying she's like a really good pull, as I do think she's a really good pull, and I just didn't really know how I can de-hype this character. I guess what I can say though is that if you just don't want to play Dendro team at all, then Nahida is for sure not a character you have to pick up. At the very least, you can always just stick with Dendro Traveler if you do want to explore with futures Dendro team, and if Nahida come a rerun, which she will get, then you can just roll her if you decided you really want to play her with the Dendro team at that point. But the thing here is that that's kind of why these kind of pre-release analysis video kind of exist, to kind of basically get you a head start into thinking about the most important question that you should always think about and decide for yourself, and that is, do you really need these characters? Do you want to roll for these characters? And most importantly, do you have primo or disposable income if you're gonna go that route for these characters? And kind of question that only you yourself can answer. But with that being said, of course, we're gonna dive a deeper look into Nahida on the first day, including a first impression, as well as a week later, probably the follow-up meta analysis. So as always, if you're not subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe. And this will be the Nahida pre-release analysis. Let me know what you think about her. I think she's definitely one of the most insane looking characters in Genshin Impact, both in terms of her animation as well as her character kit and the meta strength overall. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.